Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my little portion of the internet, and welcome back to the Taking Liberties Pro Wrestling podcast. So, you know what? I want to go ahead and thank everyone who is continuing to listen and or watch, just generally support the podcast, whether it be on Spotify or Google Podcast or YouTube or whatever. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you all. Everything that you do helps immensely, whether it just be either watching or liking on YouTube or whatever. So thank you guys. Gracias. Arigato gozaimasu. I don't know how else to say thank you in any other language, but thank you. So today we are going ahead and talking about TNA Impact, January 28th, 2005. And, well, I guess we can go ahead and just jump right on into it. So the show just starts off replaying literally the entire segment that Nick and I talked about last week. Literally that whole press conference between Nash saying that he was a more superior wrestler, and then, well, not the whole thing, but they played probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes worth of footage. So right after that, we go into some pyro. And now, I swear, there's even more pyro now. Like it's getting a little absurd at this point. This small building having so much pyro, and they seemingly get more and more pyro every single week. So the show starts off with a pretty big pyro display. And then the first matchup is Kid Cash and Lance Hoyt versus Chris Sabin and Jeff Hardy. Hoyt and Cash start off attacking Sabin. He drop kicks them, and Hardy comes in. Cash gets tossed out. Sabin does a pescado onto Cash, and then he does a crossbody, but is caught by Hoyt, who does a fallaway slam. Hoyt and Cash are on top for the entire match, pretty much. They make illegal switches, like I mean, you know how I complained about it the other week. It's not lucha rules or anything yet. They're just making switches. The legal man is just coming in and out. The ref is questioning it. They're just clapping their hands like, "Oh yeah, well." Rudy Charles is like, "Oh, well, I guess I'm just gonna let it go." So they make illegal switches. They attack Sabin behind the ref's back, and they just generally cut his side of the ring off. And all of this leads to a Jeff Hardy hot tag. And literally, as soon as his hand was slapped, he put a leg, not even a leg, he didn't even put his leg in the rope. He like lifted his leg up, and Abyss just attacked him. So Abyss attacked him. He yanked him off the rope. Not a DQ. He just kind of started attacking Hardy. Hardy attacked him back, and then they brawled to the back. Sabin gets a visual fall, but Cash gets the win. Mike Tenay announces that Jeff Hardy and Abyss will compete in a Full Metal Mayhem match at Against All Odds. It's made official by Dusty Rhodes via a note from Tracy to Mike Tenay. And then we got a backstage promo next between DDP, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall. Basically, DDP is just saying, "What the hell happened to you guys? This isn't you. You're coming and taking orders from Jarrett." Excuse me. You're coming and taking orders from Jarrett, and you know what do you do? He basically just saying like, "You guys are being a bunch of little bitches right now. So what's up?" And then next match is Chris Candido versus Sonny Siaki with Christopher Daniels on commentary. Honestly, this was a very nothing happening match. The match really just kind of served as a backdrop for whatever Daniels was saying, and he was basically just continuing the feud with AJ Styles for the Against All Odds pay-per-view. But for the most part, the match was in favor of Candido, who just did a couple of strikes, chops, and some grappling. Not a lot of grappling, but some grappling. Siaki gets a brief comeback when Candido misses a headbutt from the top rope, and he does a neck breaker and a crossbody. But Chris Candido rolls, and he puts his feet on the. I swear he was reaching for the top rope. I think he got the middle rope, but he put him up there. And Candido gets the win. So next is a backstage promo with Dusty and Tracy. With Dusty asking Tracy and Trinity just basically who their partners are going to be. Tracy was like, "Oh, I got some big dudes." She said to Dusty, "You like them? You like your men big, don't you?" And Dusty was like, "Yeah, in the ring I do." And she's like, "I got some 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot dudes." And Dusty was like, "Some 8 foot dudes?" He's like, "Yeah." And yeah, so I guess Trinity is going to bring some 8-foot dudes. Cool. And that led to, or that cut to a match between Johnny Devine with Scott D'Amore versus Monty Brown. Devine attacks Monty Brown while he's still doing his entrance. You know, Monty Brown is doing the whole rubbing against the ropes, purring cat thing. Devine is on top for maybe about a minute, minute and a half, but the match turns in favor of Brown when he just gets punched in the face in the corner and he just simply no sells it and he does a standing switch, not like a grappling standing switch, but literally picks up Divine and throws him into the corner, starts attacking him, starts punching him, and then he does a brief comeback, but Petey Williams climbs on the top rope, gets caught, and then he gets tossed onto Bobby Roode. Eric Young attempts to attack Brown, but then he gets pounced, period, out of the ring. And then Divine pokes Brown in the eye, but he just tosses him against the rope. He literally like picks him up under the armpits, throws him against the ropes, hits the ropes, and then pounces Divine. It looks amazingly brutal. And Brown gets the win. And then they're just kind of lollygagging there. Scott Hall attacks Brown after the bell, but DDP comes out and Hall retreats. Next is a Jeff Jarrett in-ring promo saying that Nash was brought in to take orders, but somewhere along the way he got a big head. This promo was kind of boring. The crowd wasn't feeling it either. They were just kind of shitting on him the entire promo. There was a chant. I've never heard this chant before, but they told him to get his hat, get his coat, and leave. They said, get your hat, get your coat, and leave. And they just kept saying that. And yeah. But pretty much the gist of the promo was that Jarrett said that he was going to end Kevin Nash's career. I think he said something about taking out his knees or something like that. I don't know. Well, I do know he said something about taking out his knees, but I don't know if that was necessarily related to the ending his career. I kind of zoned out at that point. Honestly, I zoned out after the knee thing and zoned right back in when he said he was going to end his career. And then we just go to an AJ Styles promo saying that Daniels is good, but he's better. Styles said winning matches doesn't make someone a ring general, surviving them does, and he's going to survive the 30 minutes. It was pretty, it was an AJ Styles promo in 2005. It was that. Next is a match between the Naturals, Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas, versus Justin Rhodes and Cassidy Riley. The Naturals are just getting heat on Riley by attacking his hands, which Raven broken. They are just kind of smashing his hand to the mat, stomping on his hands, stepping on his hands. And all this leads to a Dustin Rhodes hot tag, but just like we saw in the match earlier, literally as soon as he gets his hand slapped, Raven comes and attacks Dustin Rhodes. The commentary said that he threw a trash can at Dustin Rhodes, who was standing on the apron. But it happened out of shot, so and I didn't hear a trash can, so I don't know. It could just be, wrestling. But I don't know. So yeah, that happened. Don't know why it wasn't a DQ, especially if there was a trash can involved, but whatever. The Naturals do a tag move where it's like it was one of them holding Cassidy Riley in like a gut buster or like a shoulder gut buster. I don't know what that's called, but he's on his shoulder in like a running power slam position. One guy has him there, and the other guy has him in an ace crusher position. And they basically just both drop down to their knees at the same time. So it's a stunner and a gut buster. And it was a pretty cool move that I'm surprised no one has taken, or at least I've not seen anyone take. But it's a nice little move. And they did that to get the win. So winners are the Naturals, Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas. And now we get to the main event, which is Michael Shane and Kazarian with Primetime versus 3 Live Crew. So K-Dog just goes to town on literally all the opponents. They kind of come in one by one to just get beat up by Conan. Primetime even takes the whole leg drop to the balls spot, the basically the was that spot with Thrawn Killings doing a leg drop to the crotch of the opponents. Truth gets tagged in. Well, commercial break. So he got tagged in at some point. So commercial break. Truth gets tagged in during the commercial break. And he's just going at Michael Shane for a while. And he hit him with that like spinning body offense thing. I don't know what that's called. I don't even know if it has a name. I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. He just like spins himself like a top and throws himself at his opponent. It's pretty cool. He does that and then he goes up to the top rope, but he gets shaken off and crotched. And then Michael Shane just takes control. The heels cut off the ring for a while, but the match then turns in favor of the babyfaces when Kazarian accidentally punches Primetime because Truth ducked. He gets the hot tag, and then BG James goes crazy. BG hits Kazarian with the pump handle and gets a visual fall, but unfortunately the ref is distracted by Primetime and K-Dog. And Shane drops the elbow on BG, who rolls Kaz on top of him for the win. The heels win. All this is happening with what's his name? Mike Hammond on commentary. And he's pissed because he's got a match with Kazarian and Michael Shane at the pay-per-view. He realizes, seeing this, that he could be cheated out of the match, but he attempts to go and like have the referee look at the decision or whatever, and then he gets harassed by the heels, and he pushes Kazarian, who had pushed him first, and then he gets in the ring and he rips off his button-up shirt, and his arms are definitely bigger than Kazarian and Michael Shane's, but that's neither here nor there. And then the show ends. So this show was very not good. I mean, it was weekly TV, right? It was just a show. Obviously, not every single show is going to be a blow-away show. Not every show is going to have a blow-away match or whatever. It was just a show that advanced the stories to the pay-per-view. It did what weekly TV was supposed to do. There was, I don't think there was a fuck finish on any of the shows, but the finishes were not good. Yeah, like I don't think there were any DQs or anything, but I don't know, everything was either interference or cheating to win. Yeah, everything was either outside interference or interference by cheating. Like, it's no one. I mean, well, I can't speak for everyone, but I don't want to see that. It's whatever. But anyway, that's my review of TNA Impact, January 28th, 2005. I didn't hate the show. Like I said, it was just weekly TV. It did what it was supposed to do, and that's all I can really ask for. Decent episode, but I guess now we will go ahead and get on into what we are going to be reviewing this week. And now, I guess we will go ahead and hop on into the random wrestling review for the show. Still don't have a name for that. I need to do some more brainstorming. But anyway, this week we are taking a look at SmackDown from October 18th, 2001. And I want to go ahead and give a big thanks and shout out to Mike for suggesting this show. So first off, the show starts with an in-ring promo with Jericho. Well, Jericho comes out and he basically says that he's never officially been a champion in the WWF, and he's never even had a championship shot in WCW. And everyone's saying that that's because he can't win the big one. He can't get the job done. And he says, they're right. But come this Sunday at No Mercy, he knows that he's going to get the job done. So Stephanie McMahon comes out, and the crowd immediately just starts calling her a slut. So basically what Stephanie is just saying that is she's picking the lesser of two evils, and she's going to endorse The Rock in that title match for the World Heavyweight Championship between the two at No Mercy. And then she says, if The Rock was here, then I'm sure he'd thank me for his support. The Rock comes out, and then he just roasts Stephanie. He calls her a hoe. He makes fun of her implants. And then the two guys actually just roast her some more. And they just run her off. And The Rock says that Jericho's never won the big one because he's simply not good enough. And the segment ends when The Rock hits a rock bottom onto Jericho. So next we go to a backstage segment with Austin celebrating his WWF Championship win this past Monday, I believe, after RVD hit the 5-star onto Kurt Angle, causing Austin to get the win. So they're waiting for Van Dam, who's the guest of honor, and then Taz just says, you know, Austin, you don't even have to be beaten to lose your title. He said, If Van Dam hits that 5-star, bam, as you said, onto Angle, go ahead and win the title and you wouldn't have to be beaten. And then everyone just kind of shits on him. And then Austin's like, get out. So he gets out. And then the first match on the card is a mixed tag match between Team Extreme, that being Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, and Lita, versus Hurricane, Mighty Molly, and Lance Storm. The Hardys are on top for a good little bit, with Jeff doing some quick takedowns, and he tags in Matt. They do poetry in motion. The match turns in favor of the heels when Hurricane gets a blind tag and Storm gets Matt up in an air raid crash position. And then Hurricane, while Storm is in the air raid crash, does like a neck breaker, which was a fucking fantastic move. And I think that'd be a really good tag finish, and I'm very surprised that no one has taken it yet. After that happens, Hurricane does a snapmare, and then Molly comes in, doing illegal moves. So what she does is when Matt is on his ass, she snaps him forward, like whips him forward, I guess. She like throws herself over and whips him forward. And he snaps forward and he whips back into a crucifix pin by the Hurricane? Or no, Lance Storm. Lance Storm gets him in the crucifix pin. And I don't think I've ever seen that spot before, but it was a really good spot. And again, a spot that I'm surprised no one's taken. So the heels just do a bunch of cheating, and the finish comes when Storm and Hurricane attempt to do a double suplex on Lita. She's saved by the Hardys, and then she attempts to do the Twist of Fate onto Storm, but Ivory comes and attacks Lita, who bumps into the rope while Jeff is on top. He gets crotched, and then Hurricane hits the Eye of the Hurricane onto Jeff? Or was it Matt? Hit the Eye of the Hurricane onto the brothers, and then gets the win. And then we immediately show the APA stealing the Hurricycle in retaliation to the Hurricane and Lance Storm and Mighty Molly destroying their set. I think this past Monday on Raw. I don't think it was explained when, but I'm pretty sure it was this past Monday on Raw. So we cut to another backstage segment with Austin saying he could beat Angle anytime he wanted. Stephanie and Regal interrupt Austin saying that the new IC champ Christian, or not new IC champ, but the IC champ Christian, is a new defect, and he is now part of the Alliance. So cool. Austin just welcomes him in and says, if you stick behind this group of people, you'll be up in the stars in no time. Next match is Taz versus Maven. Literally, the whole match is Taz just beating the dog shit out of Maven for about 4 minutes until he did something. I don't know. It's probably just like a slam, because he was doing a lot of basic moves and then as he was going for the cover, Nydia pulled his leg, so that distracted him, I guess, and then he turned around into a small package, which Michael Cole called a schoolboy, and Maven got the win after being destroyed the entire match. Next is a backstage Mick Foley segment, and he pretty much just says,
simple psychology. Of course, you know I hold a master's degree in psychology.
You do?
Well, no, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Did I mention that Holiday Inn Express was right here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada?
But aside from that cheap pop, he pretty much just said that he put Rock and Jericho in a tag match with each other tonight because they need to respect each other like Rock and Sock respected each other before they tore each other apart. And he also announced that the Dudleys are going to be in a tag title match against the Big Show and Tajiri at the pay-per-view. So RVD finally shows up as the guest of honor, and he is being celebrated wholeheartedly by Angle, or by Austin. Austin even gives him his watch, and he tells him that he needs to take out Angle for the triple threat match that's coming up at the pay-per-view. He says that he's going to be watching intently and that RVD needs to really take him out. Next, we come to the Brothers of Destruction versus Test and Booker. Honestly, the majority of the match is just the Brothers of Destruction beating the hell out of Test and Booker, like, pretty convincingly. But at one point, the match finally turns around when Test catches Kane with a clothesline, while Kane was attempting the top rope clothesline of his own, and Test just caught him in. The heels stayed on top for a while, There was a whole lot of illegal man syndrome going on in this match. Test became the legal man without actually making tags, and the ref just didn't care at all. So Test takes out Kane by throwing him into the post, then hitting him with a low blow, and then tossing him hard as hell into the steps. He even knocked the steps over, or Kane ended up knocking the top step off of the bottom step, and also damn near toppling over the bottom step. And all while that's happening, Booker T is getting a chokeslam from The Undertaker. Test comes in, takes a chokeslam, and then Booker gets a chair, but gets big booted from Undertaker. He goes to the last ride, and while he has Booker's crotch in his face, once he lifts him, Test hits him with a bicycle kick, and the heels win. Next, we cut back to an Austin segment with him telling RVD that RVD needs to make up his mind, and he needs to pretty much tells RVD that if you're not with him, then you're against him. And he says that because earlier in the show, it was showing a limo. It was cutting back to a limo, and everyone was wondering who was inside the limo. Well, it was RVD inside the limo. He came out, and that's when he came to Austin Celebration. And then another segment right before a commercial break, they showed Vince McMahon getting out of the limo. And then that's how this segment was created. Next, we have Devon versus Tajiri. Tajiri starts off fast with a hot missile drop kick, spinning heel kicks, hurricanranas, etc. He does a tarantula at one point. But the match turns around when Bubba distracts the ref, and Devon just starts straight up, blatantly choking Tajiri. Devon stays on top for a little while longer. The finish comes when Stacy distracts the ref, and Bubba slides in the ring, and they hit the 3D on Tajiri. But the ref ends up getting distracted by Bubba, who rolls out of the ring. So Big Show chokeslams Devon, and Tajiri just crawls over him and gets the win. Next, we got The Rock and Jericho versus Raven and Justin Credible. Before the match even starts, Jericho starts just immediately attacking The Rock. Raven and Credible then also start attacking The Rock, and they take Jericho out. And then Jericho just comes in and attacks everyone with a chair shot to the head. Jericho hits The Rock with the people's elbow, and that was it. No match. Then we cut to a backstage promo where Edge is basically saying that Christian says Christian's a little bitch. And he says that he used their mother's car accident as an excuse for him and his goons to attack him on Raw. Obviously because Christian defected, and he said he no longer has a brother. And then he just says that he's going to go give Christian a little surprise of his own. He goes to find Christian, but is attacked by Alliance members. I saw Canyon and Chuck Palumbo, and there was a third guy, but I have no idea who the third guy was. I just didn't really get a good look at him. But while all that's happening, Edge, attacks them all at first, but then he gets attacked, and Christian just hits him in the gut with a chair, and then hits him with the back of the chair, and that's that. And now we come up to the main event, which is RVD versus Kurt Angle. Angle immediately with a double leg takedown and some transitions. RVD gets away and whips him into the steel steps. Not as powerfully as Tested to Kane, but still pretty good. Puts him onto the barricade, and right as he's going for his leg drop, Angle just fucking takes him from the apron and throws him right into the barricade. Angle hits a really nasty looking German suplex where RVD just kind of crumbles and folds. For anyone that's listening that has played Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain, and SmackDown vs. Raw. It's that same German that Brock Lesnar does, or Batista, or pretty much anyone with a strong German, where you get them from behind and you just fucking toss them up in the air and they land right on their neck. Yeah, RVD did that sell, except he wasn't tossed. He was still being held by Kurt, which made it look even nastier, honestly. Van Dam throwing a whole lot of potatoes in this match. One of the potatoes ended up causing Kurt Angle's nose to bleed. He just busts him open. I think it was when he did a roundhouse kick, maybe. He threw a lot of kicks, but anyway, after all that, Angle takes control after fighting out of a chinlock. Angle hits a belly to belly and then an Olympic slam. And then right when he has the ankle lock on, Austin comes out and interrupts the match. Now, the bell doesn't actually ring, signaling the end of the match, so I assume it was just thrown out in a no contest. Even though technically, since Angle was attacked, he should have won by disqualification. But anyway, Austin stuns Angle. Then he tosses out RVD. And then Angle hits Austin with an Olympic slam. And the two just do a double down. And then RVD gets up top and he hits Stone Cold Steve Austin with the 5-star Fog Splash. And the show goes off the air with everyone wondering where RVD's allegiance lies, because he helped Austin win the title Monday by hitting the 5-star onto Angle. And now that he's in this triple threat match, he hit the 5-star on Austin, and yeah, now he's devious or whatever. It was a pretty decent show. It some parts dragged, but I mean it did kind of fly on by, so that was nice. That was enjoyable. And yeah, so that will do it for this episode, guys. Thank you for joining me. Go ahead and follow the podcast on Twitter at TLProWrestPod. You can leave a comment on YouTube, leave suggestions there too. I'm always looking for places to get suggestions for which show to review. And for anyone listening, you can follow the podcast on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public. And I'm getting on to new places every week, so just keep an eye out. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to listen to the show. And I will catch you next time.